I keep having this dream where I'm running from biplanes in the Colosseum. It's spooky.
Okay, hey guys, this is Shroomy, Mushroomy, Shroomathan, Shroomster. I have a lot of different names, and I just really like lore. So, we got the story tab today, well, this week, and I wanted to go over it, talk about my thoughts, feelings, opinions on it, as well as just like the general state of the lore in the mid-season. And I hope you guys enjoy. So, let's get right into it. So, obviously, the biggest thing we got here was the Junkrat Mythic, which you can see in front of me, but I like the Mythic, by the way, but we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about the Story tab. So, the Story tab is something they were talking about in, I think it was right before Overwatch this season came out. Yeah, this season of Overwatch came out. And they kind of set it up as like seasons. They're going to take seasonal story stuff from Overwatch 2 seasons and kind of put it on this media tab here in a timeline of events, I think was the main gist. I saw a lot of people saying they expected like everything. They expected every animated short. They expected every short story, every comic. I didn't really expect that. I just expected Overwatch 2, like they said. There was just going to be Overwatch 2. So I wasn't too defeated there, but I have a lot of thoughts on this, obviously. But before we get into that, let's just read the prologue. A moment's peace. In the wake of Null Sector's invasion, Overwatch has once again established itself as a group dedicated to saving the world. Now, Null Sector's sudden retreat has left them without a global threat to repel. While some would believe this cause to celebrate, others aren't so certain this peace will last, for when one threat wanes, another will surely rise to take its place. So, yeah. I think this prologue is probably going to change very rapidly. I think this is probably going to change in the next couple weeks when the next hero comes out. As I've been saying for a while in my other videos, as well as just in general, the developers have said a couple little things here and there that this next hero is probably going to shake up the world in a big way. So I wouldn't be surprised if this changes maybe even next week. It kind of just depends when this story stuff is going to be coming out for this upcoming hero. So I'm not really worried about the prologue part here. This is probably going to be changing pretty rapidly. It's probably going to be evolving as the story goes on. What I more want to focus on is the media tab itself down here. So as you can see, we have the most recent comic, Reconciliation, which was the Ramatra comic. We have the most recent lore drop with Breaking News Atlas News Report. And we have the Wuyong hero trailer, which is a little confusing, but here, I'll just go through the beginning. So, yeah, this is it. We have all of Freya's stuff, all of Wuyong's stuff, the Ramatra comic, Sojourn, lore piece, and we have, this is the Overwatch 2, like, pre-Overwatch 2 story trailer thing that came out before it was officially revealed, like a kind of state of the world thing. So, this is okay. I don't think this is the best starting place for your media tab here, but I'll be talking about that in a second. This is kind of it, yeah. It's very bare bones. Oh, and also, we have 2 upcoming lore drops here you can see coming soon. There's going to be 2 new lore drops added that are coming after Atlas News Report, which is probably going to be if we follow these, it's probably going to be the motion comic, and it's going to be the hero trailer. So we'll probably be getting the motion comic, then the hero trailer. But, yeah, so that is coming up next over there. Things I like about this before we get into like my criticisms and my critiques. I like that this exists at all. Obviously, the story tab kind of is down here at the bottom. I think we could probably maybe bump it up. It kind of looks weird. I don't know why, like down here on its own. Maybe do something to make it. Probably not up here, obviously, but definitely in these subtext somewhere. But yeah, I think I'm happy this exists at all. I think this is kind of pretty drastically needed for Overwatch. We had a certain similar thing like this with Winston's desk, which like here I can try to go bring up. Yeah, we had Winston's desk, which was a pretty good thing. I would love to get the lore codex like this that we have. We had like the Intel database. I would love to see this in game, but this is obviously not a substitute for that. I don't think they're trying to go for that. I think it's more so going for just getting narrative content into the game at all, which is a very good thing. So I am happy that we have this. I think the media tab in general is really good, and also I saw that if you're queuing, you can actually look at the story tab, which is a really good touch. I think that's really good. I think that's going to get a lot more people looking into it as they're waiting to get into games. You can actually just queue, so that's pretty good. Another thing I really like about this is I do like how we get to see what's coming up with the 2 new coming soon things right here. We get to see that, and I like how they're getting, it seems like a lot more story stuff is going to be voiced in the future if they're only adding voiced over stuff, so that's a pro in some ways, but also a con. Yeah, so that's kind of my main things. I like how it shows the future. I like how it exists at all. I want to talk about a lot of my critiques, which are critiques I've seen kind of vocalized across the online space in the last couple weeks in general. So we're just going to be talking about that for the rest of this video. And yeah, so my critiques of the story tab are pretty much the same as everyone else. There needs to be a lot more. There needs to be a lot more here. It can't start with the story so far cinematic. It's just we need probably Genesis at the beginning. I think Genesis is probably the perfect thing to put here. It's a voiced thing. It's a animated thing as well. You can probably put that here at the beginning. Then you can put the story so far. Or alternatively, we could get the Ramatra voiced over version, which is from Invasion, but I'm unsure if they really want to touch the Invasion stuff in general, which is another thing. We need to have Invasion mentioned here somewhere, probably once again before the Freya motion comic here at this part, but we need the Ramatra stuff and Null Sector to have more of a conclusion on this media tab. This media tab needs to explain that Null Sector's gone, and one of my big worries is once we move on to the next part, this prologue tab is probably going to get removed with like the current story or whatever's going on, and we're not going to have a really solid conclusion to the Null Sector arc. A lot of people are going to be confused. The only thing we really have here for Null Sector is Ramatra's comic, which is a great comic, don't get me wrong. We need more. We need a little bit more to kind of conclude that on the media tab in general. Another big critique that I've seen is people wanted just all of Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 cinematics, which I don't think is possible, at least not right away. This whole kind of content schedule here feels very like they pushed this out before the new hero because the new hero is probably going to be shaking the story up in a really big way and they want to generate some form of excitement, which is completely fair. I think that's a really fine way to do it. I just hope that we get some feedback and hear if they're going to be updating this in the future, because the roadmap here is, well, not roadmap, I should say. The story tab here, I keep calling it a roadmap. The story tab here is a solid foundation, but they really need to add a lot more before Freya. I think everyone's in agreement on that. They need a lot more before Freya. Another thing that I would personally like, and I've seen a lot of people kind of worry about, is I want some type of pop-up here, or to put in the media tab, like maybe a link to the short story that's on the website, for all the short stories that aren't voice read or read aloud, I guess. There's a lot of them. Like, we had a Juno short story that came out last week, Signs of Life, and it's not on here. But it should be, because I think it's a really good Juno story, and I think it moves her character forward in a really interesting way, and it kind of moves the story of Mars and kind of the lunar colony as well in a really interesting way, and that's not on here at all. So I think there should be like at least a little box that says like, hey, Signs of Life, go to the website to read it, or like a little text thing that just has like Signs of Life happened at this point, or like just to show it even exists. And there's some other voiced over like short stories that aren't on here as well, like the Pride story with Soldier and Maximilian short story. They're not on here. I think they should be. I know those are probably really long, but once again, I think they should probably just have like a box that says like, hey, go to the website to read this. I think that would be pretty solid. I think as a kind of story, if we're going to be doing that, I think the story tab will work. I think the story tab always can work. This is a really good thing. It's a really good foundation, like I said. They just really need to expand on it and add those kind of things. I would like in the future, once the media tab starts to get big enough, if we could like sort through it, like if we could sort through cinematics, sort through short stories, all that kind of stuff. But that's a problem for the far off future if we ever get more like of the background stuff, specifically like the backlog outside of Freya and everything. So in general, those are kind of my main critiques of this. I just think we need more. I think this is a very bare bones system, but I think it can be expanded on and explored in time. I think there's a lot we can go over here, and a lot more that, well, can just be done in general. And I'm really interested to see how the new hero is going to shake this up, because I do think everything here is probably going to change pretty rapidly. Up at the top where Sojourn is right now, it's probably going to change pretty rapidly, and the idea of a new global threat rising just sounds right up with the new I say new tank. I keep calling her a tank. The new gladiator lady coming out. So we're going to be seeing probably some of her and everything with that soon, and I'm excited to see that in the future. But yeah, media tab is all right to me. And that's kind of the main gist of this. I just want to make a video talking about probably my feelings on the story tab, what I think they did pretty well, what I think they didn't do as well, and what I'm worried about in the future. There are certain things that I'm worried about, like I said, mostly short stories not being on here. I think short stories need to be mentioned somewhere. just in general, I think they need to be mentioned. I hope that the story tab here leads to us getting more voiced over stuff from the characters and the voice actors, but I don't know if that's going to be feasibly possible. So I'm hoping that we can get these, if we do get more comics that aren't voiced, I hope they can at least be on here. Of course, I would love some of the external material as well, such as like the other comics, like New Blood, I think should be here somewhere. Maybe have a tab to the side that says like New Blood Comics or London Calling Comics, you know, example, cough, cough, case. But yeah, so you could really put a lot of stuff here, and I think this is just a solid foundation. I just hope they expand on it over time, which is probably my biggest thing I want to hear about, is what their plans are for this going forward. They haven't really talked about it. I just want to hear about it, so yeah, if we can get some feedback and get some thoughts on how that goes, I think things will be good. Those are pretty much my thoughts on this. There wasn't really any other story stuff in mid-season, as we didn't really get any new Junkrat voice lines. We got one with a Roadha, or well, Mauga and Junkrat, but it wasn't too crazy as far as I can tell. So yeah, I pretty much only really want to see more on the story tab itself. I think there's really a lot they can expand on, and I'm hopeful for the future, but I really want to know what their plans are with this, and I hope there's some form of way to keep an eye on or like categorize it better in the future, because the story is going to evolve, like I said, and we are going to need that especially. And that's all from me. I'm excited to see where the hero comes and what's going to happen next. We're probably going to be getting a video on her next week out over here, so probably a lot of stuff going on, because we're going to be getting her trailer on Monday. So I'm excited to see that, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys next week when the hero comes out, so I'll see you guys then. Bye!